Another aspect of these schemes, of course, is the environmental damage. They have a very complicated methodology called cost-benefit analysis. And they put the costs in, and they do estimate some cost for environmental damage, but they tend to be greatly underestimated. And the benefits are largely in terms of very small time savings that thousands of people make, and they cost people's time at about 17 or 20 pounds an hour. And so you say if somebody saves 5 minutes, that's worth a couple of quid. And you add all these up, kind of multiply it by millions, and then you get what the benefits are, and then you get what the costs are, and you say, well, if the benefit to cost ratio is more than 2, you go ahead with the scheme. I don't know what the benefit cost ratio is on this scheme, but it's a very inexact science. And in particular, I don't think it properly costs in the environmental damage that schemes like this cause. A park or a green field or a clump of trees is not costed in this. Nobody costs the pleasure that people can no longer get from seeing a fantastic bit of countryside. There are fantastic disbenefits of roads. If you have a road speeding through your community, it's very unsettling. I mean, you can know that from people who live near motorways, or people who live even actually near high-speed rail lines, but much less so. But if you live next to a road with lots of traffic thundering through, it unsettles your way of life. And again, that's not costed properly. In fact, there was an amazing experiment it was in a town, but it still was valid, in San Francisco in the 1960s. Very famous experiment whereby they looked at a very busy road, a sort of medium busy road, and a quiet road. And they interviewed people on each of those 3 types of road. And they asked them how many friends you have, how many people do you know in your street? And the results were entirely predictable. The results were that people who lived on busy roads had fewer friends and acquaintances on the street. People who lived in medium busy roads had a few more, and people on quiet roads had the most. It was absolutely unequivocal. And yet it's never really, that research, even though it's kind of 40 years, 50 years old, it's never properly acted upon. It's never actually looked at that we destroy the whole community feel of somewhere by the fact that you have an awful lot of traffic going through. So that the disbenefits of road schemes are never properly assessed. Another disbenefit, of course, is road deaths. And again, the overall figures for the UK have gone down enormously since I've been writing about this. When I first started writing about transport nearly 20 years ago, it was 3,600 a year people were being killed. And it stayed the same for quite a long time. And then thanks to speed cameras and thanks to all sorts of other measures, being very heavy on drink driving and all that sort of thing, it's gone down to about 2,200. But there's no doubt that if you encourage more people to drive longer distances, you will get more road accidents and more road deaths. Particularly if you built the rail line instead, you would get obviously railways are the safest form of travel, and you'd get far fewer deaths.